Welcome back to another edition of Matchbook's Weekend Football Podcast. We missed him last week, Mr. Mark O'Hare. He is back on board this morning, and Mark, from myself and Adrian and all the team at Matchbook, a massive congratulations to you and your partner Kim on the arrival of baby Molly. Good few days, mate. Interesting few days, I suggest.
Yeah, it's been an interesting first nearly 2 weeks this weekend. So yeah, it's fantastic. Greatest gift in the world, really. Bit of a sentimental bloke at the best of times, but yeah, it's quite an emotional few days, and it's just settling into life now as a threesome at home, which has been interesting. But she's been good as gold so far, so fingers crossed that carries on.
Great name.
Advice. Yeah, great name. Yeah, lots of advice from Mark shortly, Adrian. Yeah.
Well, loads of advice. Yeah, look, I'm always here for you. You know my number. In those difficult moments, and there will be thousands. Give me a shout. Because it's combining the sort of level of research that we have to put in doing the work that we do with having children is not easy, but you'll smash it, but it will be tiring at first.
He's still up early today, mate. He hit his copy in for insights to me very early this morning, so I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any bit of a change, but congratulations again, Mark, and great to have you back. But I suppose before we get into today's show, I want to talk about safer gambling week. It runs from the 1st to the 7th of November in the UK and Ireland, and we touched on it as well last year, and it's very important to kind of take stock and and make it kind of and highlight a few things here. And I suppose, look, without coming across as kind of preaching to the choir or anything, like, we do have a lot of fun doing these podcasts every Thursday. We have a bit of crack with it, and but it is just fun. And like, what I would say is only spend what you can afford. Set your limits, set your time limits and your financial limits, and always remember, as Mark knows himself in the last couple of days, family and friends are far more important than this. And Mark, even just from a bettor's perspective, sometimes, like, we do kind of have good weeks and we have bad weeks. I think it's important to kind of keep control of the emotions and to be very level-headed, because it can be easy to kind of say, I've had a bad week, I'll chase my losses, but it's not a good thing.
No, it's not. Definitely not. Yeah, enjoyment is everything in this game. If you don't enjoy the process of betting, then you do need to sort of take a step away, and that's something I try to say to all punters, whether they're sort of just coming into the game or been at it a while. Really, is the highs are wonderful, enjoy them, because the lows are hard to stomach. But betting is supposed to be fun. We're all here to try and make some money at the end of the day. But ultimately, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, that's an issue, really. You have to enjoy the process. I think it's an incredibly important as well from a recreational aspect to try and enjoy that journey, because those bad days, you'll remember them when the good days come around, and it's just learning from them, making sure you're not betting beyond your means, and just enjoying the process, because that's what we're all here for, just to have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a fun. But also at the end of the day, you want to win a few quid. So it's a roller coaster ride, so just try and enjoy the ups and the downs if you can.
Yeah, and if you are struggling with any of this today, again, look, check out safergamblinguk.org. The banner is there on the screen if you're watching us now. There's a free call number there of 0808 8020133. But safergamblinguk.org, that website will be there forevermore, not just for this week. And if you're looking for any useful tools to maybe help with your gambling and your betting, or even just if you want to talk to somebody, there are some great resources on that website. Okay, some wise words there from Mark. And let's move on to this week's slate. Some good games in the Premier League this week. We're obviously going to start with the Manchester Derby. We're going to talk about West Ham and Liverpool, Crystal Palace and Wolves, and Everton and Tottenham as well. Let's take a look at the betting, though, as we have it at Manchester. So very slight movement there in Manchester United. They were 5.0 a couple of minutes ago. They're on 4.9. I don't know if we read too much into that. 1.76. You can back City. The draw available at 4.2. United getting a 3-quarter goal start on the Asian handicap at 2.0. And 3 is the total, slightly shaded towards the under. Mark O'Hare, Manchester United. I just want to give my kind of 2 cents on this before you guys get going. This roller coaster of emotion and whatever else it is, but we know that it's a bit of a fraudulent case, and it's almost like if you're trying to break up with somebody, but they keep on doing one nice thing every week, just that one small thing, and you just can't quite get away from them. But Mark, look, Ronaldo late strikes, whatever. This can't sustain, sure.
No, you can't imagine it will. The midweek game against Atalanta, I thought, was a fine example of where they're at and where they're coming into this game. They had their moments, the 2 goals. Firstly, the first goal was fantastic, beautiful link-up play. And the second goal obviously just showed the individual quality in that team. to come and kind of save Solskjaer's bacon again. But for the most part, I thought they looked ragged. I thought they were second best, playing without a plan, going to a back three at the weekend against Tottenham. You get the good result. You kind of continue it at Atalanta. But Lindelof is out, and then Varane gets injured. He kind of abandons that system and approach. And I just find his whole substitutes really bizarre when you're chasing a game, but you don't bring Jadon Sancho on until the 87th minute. It just found the whole fixture a bit weird, really, from a United perspective. So I think you've got to take that Tottenham result and performance with a pinch of salt, considering where Spurs were. That is United's only win in 5 in the Premier League. It was only their second clean sheet in 15 across all competitions, which is quite a frightening return, really, considering the money that's been spent on that squad. And they also got this sort of penchant to fall behind and concede the first goal, which has happened in 5 of the last 6 at Old Trafford, 7 of the last 10 across all venues. And I don't think Man City are the kind of team you want to be chasing a game against. So, this is a weird fixture as well. The away teams won it in 8 of the last 11 derbies. I'm not bowled over by Man City's price, put it that way, at 175. They were 173 here last season without fans, 183 the season before when Liverpool won the title. City failed to score or even win both of those games. Now, I know it didn't ring true against Liverpool, but we did sort of sound a little bit of an alarm about Solskjaer engineering a tactical masterclass in some of these big games when he's been under pressure as big underdogs, City and PSG, the obvious examples. It's hard to imagine something similar will happen here, considering how they played against Liverpool. But over the last 8 Premier League games, they've also been ranked 11th on expected points with a negative XG ratio return. That's just not good. That's not cool, really, when you consider the amount of money that's been spent on that squad. So City are comfortably clear on the same metrics, even if results haven't always clicked. And I think they have wavered a little bit defensively in recent weeks from, let's be fair, some sky-high standards. Palace, Liverpool, Brighton have all had some joy against them. So, yeah, I'm struggling to really find an angle I really want to hang my hat on here. I do think the goal line is a bit high. Only 2 of the last 12 Premier League meetings between these two have featured 4 or more goals. So I look to try and attack that, oppose the high goal line, but also want to be pro-City. I think you've got to kind of be pro-City the way United are playing. So I thought marrying the two up together and getting Man City to win and under 4.5 goals at 2.2, 2.3, I think that's a reasonable angle to take. It's basically a 25% increase in the standard match odds that you're getting on Man City to win the game. You're also turning it an odds-on shot into an odds-against shot, and you're getting a whole range of correct scores on side. The caveat being that City have the potential to score 4, 5 or 6, as Liverpool did, and United can also kind of join the party with their attacking quality too. So, yeah, tricky one, this one, I found, but I think that's, as an odds-against shout, was okay.
And Adrian, that general narrative is going to be spoken about a lot this weekend, all his success against Pep in recent years. Mm-hmm. However, if we get a Man City performance like we got at the Bridge a few weeks back, there's going to be no hope for United here, surely. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up, because obviously heading into this season, Pep had a couple of sort of kryptonites, didn't he? Yeah. he had a couple of blockers, really, too. He couldn't get the better of Tuchel. He's put that one to bed, hasn't he? With it, by simplifying it, by basically playing the Man City way, not trying to overcomplicate matters, controlling that match, and they were just phenomenal. I think we've waxed lyrical about that on numerous occasions. The other gaffer that he's really struggled with is Ollie, for some absolutely bizarre reason. That he's got the best win rate, Ollie, against Pep, of any other manager that's sort of managed, I think, more than 5 times. He wins 50% of the games against Pep Guardiola, which is quite remarkable, 4 from 8. So you have to respect that, but at the same time, use your eyes. And my eyes tell me that this United team are atrocious when they don't have the ball. And I'm not using that word lightly. They're awful. It's pretty shambolic. The marking, the way that they let runners go in behind, it's really, really bad. I mean, Spurs just had a dismal game, and I think that let them off the hook a little bit last weekend. But Maguire is having a torrid campaign. Shaw's not been much better, and you can look at the midfield and say, well, where is it? So yeah, for me, City will control the game. I was at Etihad Stadium last night, by the way. I took my son to watch the Champions League game. I knew I could get a ticket before. If anyone's wondering why I would go there,
or any Champions League game, but
you know you can get a ticket at City, right? So we went and I enjoyed it. City were good, very, very confident in possession. A couple of standouts. Raheem Sterling was really good off the bench. Excellent. Bernardo Silva, terrific. And Jack Grealish had an off night, and De Bruyne is not in good nick. So there's some decisions to be made over the team. Foden looks good. There's a great stat on Foden, by the way. 11 goals and 3 assists in his last 16 away Premier League matches for Manchester City. I mean, that is phenomenal. 14 direct goal involvements in 16 away games. So for me, he would have to lead the line here. And I can envisage City doing what they did to Chelsea and just monopolising the game and winning it. But with Ronaldo and obviously Marcus Rashford back in the fray and Cavani, they've always got a chance to score, Manchester United. But yeah, City are vastly superior. I'd pick that exactly the same bet as Mark. City to win is a bit skinny on its own. Yeah. Under 4.5. We got bitten at Brighton, didn't we? In the cruelest of circumstances with that 95th minute goal. But I think if City win this one, then it's unlikely to be 5 goals or more in the game. So yeah, that's my selection, and I'm more than comfortable with that.
Yeah, 2.3 currently at matchbook.com, and obviously look, if it's a City 5-0 win, we're goosed. But
yeah. By the way, there's another interesting stat. We like a random stat. Man City have never failed to score in the 12:30 kickoff. There you go. Never failed to score in a 12:30 kickoff.
Where are you getting these ones from?
Secret. I've got a little treasure chest, and I just say
doesn't have this.
Open it up on a Thursday morning for you. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's probably not enough to get me there, but yeah, I like the angle here. City at under 4.5. The Liverpool against the United teams the last night was pretty good. So I was actually quoted on social media elsewhere as well on the back of that AC. So we'll get you that one as well shortly. So all right, City to win under 4.5, 2.3 looks a solid bet. Next game, we're going to talk about Liverpool's trip to East London to take on West Ham. Current betting, as we have it, at matchbook.com. West Ham at 5.0. It's a big price, 1.76. You can back Liverpool. The draw available 4.2. West Ham getting a 3/4 goal start on the Asian handicap. That'll appear on the site at matchbook.com. Plus 0.5/1.0, and that's a 1.97. And 3.25 is the total. It's a pretty high one. And 1.88, slightly shaded towards the under. Adrian, I think you guys possibly have different opinions here, but what way do you see this playing out?
It's a tough one to call. It's a really good game, first and foremost, isn't it? Between two teams that are playing excellently at the moment. I definitely want to watch the game. And traditionally, it's a game with goals, isn't it? I think Liverpool in particular, well, most Liverpool games feature goals, don't they? But they've been entertaining affairs, these. Salah in particular likes this as much as Liverpool. I think they've won 4 in a row against West Ham, home and away. He's scored in all of those games. So yeah, he's the obvious threat, isn't he? The reason I have a slight doubt over Liverpool here is what we saw against Brighton. They gifted up some good chances, I thought, and Brighton were unlucky maybe not to win the game. Obviously, they scored twice, disallowed goals, came close, and I do think that West Ham are superior to Brighton, and they're on home turf, and Klopp's decision to rotate the centre halves, I think, is problematic in the long term. Obviously, he went with Matip, and then he's given Conte a chance. What will he do this weekend? Because they conceded 2. Will he bring Matip back? Who knows? But it's not ideal in my view to be doing that ahead of a meeting with Mikel Antonio, who, okay, he's not in as blistering form right now as he was, but he's still an outstanding centre forward, second only really to Mo Salah in all of the main metrics in terms of shots and shots inside the box, etc. So he's a real danger man. I feel that West Ham are more authoritative now than they've been in any of the previous meetings with Liverpool as a team. Rice and Souček on fire, very, very confident, and I think they can hold their own. I really do, and make this a competitive game. I don't see Liverpool running away with it. And we saw against Spurs, a bad Spurs team, but it was a cagey game. They got the win. Everton, they got the win, even though it wasn't a classic. They didn't make it a classic Everton. I think they can calm Liverpool down, West Ham United, in this game with their solid organisation and off the ball work. So with that in mind, I love a +1 handicap. I really do. And I think when you see a +1 handicap on a team that's in the top 4, a team that's in great form, let's be honest, it catches your eye. And I think there's value there. So West Ham +1, what was it, 1.76, I think. I don't know if it's moved of late, but that I think is my preferred angle. The other one is that I thought the goal line was too high. You referenced it in your intro to the game. So on that basis, I would lean towards the under 3.25 because of the reasons that I've outlined, because I think West Ham can sort of tame Liverpool's attack. The one other factor to consider is Firmino's injured, isn't he? So Liverpool don't have that asset off the bench to change things up in the second half. So they're going to go with the front three, as it'll be Jota, Mane and Salah. If it's not working or if something happens, they don't have the same quality to come in. So that's something to consider for people who want to get Liverpool on side. So yeah, for me, my chosen bet would be West Ham +1 on the handicap, but I would also lean towards unders. But I feel uncomfortable saying it because the fixture's so high scoring in recent times.
Yeah. At 1.74, that's slightly trimmed in West Ham +1. And Mark, we missed you last week, but obviously Tom and Adrian were very bullish on West Ham. We kind of figured that price against Villa, the market still isn't kind of really kind of catching up with them. What's your sense in this one in terms of what the best way in is in terms of a bet?
I think it's going to be a fantastic, entertaining game, and I think I want to tune into it and I want to support goals. Just as a neutral, really, I want to cheer on goals, really. So that was my first way into this, was to look at the goal line is high, and it's been shortened in a little bit as well. I was originally looking at over 3 goals, but that's gone below 1.8. So the goal expectancy of this game is 3.25. I think it's difficult to disagree with that. The Premier League is running at 2.82 per game on average. Liverpool actually topped the scales in terms of 3.7 goals per game. West Ham in at 3.1. Collectively, the two teams have seen overs land in 15 of 20 games, over 3.5 in 9 of those 20 as well. If you look at the XG figures, Liverpool's matches are top in terms of average XG per game. West Ham's are second, both comfortably topping 3 expected goals per game on average. If you look at the shots in the box charts, these two are first and second again in total shots in the box. So, Adrian referenced the previous meetings. Liverpool won 3-1 and 2-1 last season. There was a 3-2 the year before. I appreciate it's quite dry just listening to raw numbers, but West Ham have scored in 9 of 10, just kept 3 clean sheets. Liverpool have scored at least twice in 9 of 10. They have got 6 clean sheets in the Premier League, but 5 of those came against the bottom 8. And their last 12 games have featured 52 goals, which is utterly bonkers, really. They scored twice against Atleti, could probably have scored more midweek. I thought they were really quite impressive, really took to that battle very, very well. So I have thought they looked a little bit short in midfield in recent weeks, but obviously Fabinho come back in midweek and Thiago off the bench as well. Suddenly they're looking well stocked again. Yeah, Atleti, Brighton, Brentford have all given them a bit of a rattle in recent weeks as well. But I've no doubt West Ham can cause problems for them, but I just think Liverpool are likely to score twice. That's what they're doing this season. They're going to score at least twice. So I think over 3 goals now is beyond my range at sort of sub 1.8. So I would look towards over 2.5 goals and both teams to score, which will be around 1.8. Alternatively, I was looking at Liverpool to win and over 1.5 goals, just shy of even money. I think my issue here is there's probably 3 or 4 bets that I could probably make a case for, and I can't really drill down on one. I think Adrian's absolutely right that the +1 Asian handicap isn't bad at all, considering the way West Ham are playing. Liverpool offer a tough European match, and West Ham are in Europe themselves. But this is the kind of game I just want to sit back, not have a huge interest, but just cheer on goals really for either team.
Yeah, on the handicap, this you wouldn't have lost money on any of the 10 West Ham games so far this season if if you were to bet them +1 on the handicap. So, but this is Liverpool, and Liverpool are capable. So yeah, it's a really tough one. I quite liked the one that Mark chucked in at the end there, Liverpool and over 1.5. I mean that sounds a good pick to me at the price. Obviously, you're getting a bit more value.
What general price is that again, Mark? Sorry, Liverpool over
197 on Matchbook this morning.
Could I get you there with that, Adrian? In terms of a unity pick, we don't have to. We don't have to.
No, I could. I mean, I've made the case for West Ham on the handicap, but that's not to say I'm saying West Ham are going to win the game. Yeah. I think they're capable of getting a draw, but no, I could be persuaded on Liverpool to win and over 1.5 goals. To be honest, if Liverpool are going to win the game, it's unlikely to be 1-0, isn't it? So I'm happy to roll with that if Marcus.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm just feeling indecisive. I've got a short list of 4 or 5 for this game, and
that's what sleep deprivation does.
Yeah. It's almost like his mind is elsewhere this week. I don't know. All right, yeah. Look, I think it's not going to be our biggest bet of the week by any means, but Liverpool are in over 1.5 at 1.97, and as the guys attested there, it should be a terrific game. This doesn't strike me as a nil all on Sunday evening in East London. All right, we'll move on. Conte is on board. It's interesting. I'm going to get your thoughts on that in a second. Let's take a look at the betting first before we dig into this game. Everton at 3.1, Tottenham at 2.52, the draw available at 3.35. Everton getting a quarter of a goal start on the Asian handicap at 1.82, and 2.25 is the total, slightly shade towards the over. And Mark, before I come to you, Adrian, I wanted to ask yourself, as a gunner, this isn't a great hire for you guys. This is a good hire, in my opinion. This is a very good hire.
I was disappointed. My heart sank when the news came through, because Spurs have been so bad, and I just felt, who's going to want to manage them? And they've obviously struck up a rapport with Conte in the summer. Yeah. He wasn't quite ready, so it's all done very quickly. Yeah, I was gutted because he is the real deal. He is a great manager. To be honest, I would have been even more upset if they'd have gone for somebody like Graham Potter, because I think he's someone that could build them over a period of time and stick around and maintain levels. With Conte, it's going to be a 2-year hit at the longest, isn't it? But that 2-year hit could be very exciting, and I think he will improve them instantly. So it's I don't think you'll find many Gooners jumping up and down with joy at this appointment. But look, we'll see. He's got a lot of work to do, because Tottenham are in a bad place at both ends of the pitch. So he's got his work cut out.
Yeah, Mark, in terms of Sunday, so Goodison, what's the way in terms of a bet here? Like Tottenham, there does seem to be a bit of early action on them. He is that good a manager. We've seen it with Inter the last couple of years, and even before he got that Juventus job, bringing teams up from Serie B and whatever else. And look, this guy is the real deal.
Yeah, he is a fascinating match, this, because I can understand the early action on Spurs. It's certainly I want to be with Tottenham coming into this match. Not just because of the Conte factor, but also the issues afflicting Everton at the minute. But, if I was sounding quite indecisive about the Liverpool-West Ham game, I'm much more solid in my thoughts to this one, because Everton are starting to unravel. 1 win from 6 in the Premier League. That was against Norwich. Embarrassed at home by Watford in their last Goodison Park game. But more importantly, just missing really key cogs in that team, all through down the spine. Decore, Calvert-Lewin, Dean, Mina. And I just think Spurs, sorry. After the appointment of Conte, there's going to have to be some sort of reaction. We know they've got world-class quality in forward areas. We know they need a bit of structure and organisation to their defence, and a bit more about them going forward in possession. But we know out of possession, they will press, they will hassle, they will harry under Conte. Whether that will happen immediately, we don't know. But certainly you look towards Thomas Tuchel's appointment at Chelsea. Almost overnight, there was a sea change in what Chelsea were able to achieve. And I think the only issue for me right now is I don't know the answer to this question, but Conte hadn't taken charge of a training session by Thursday morning because his visa hadn't come through yet. So they've got a Conference League game against Vitesse to negotiate first. I imagine he'll have a couple of sessions in charge before the weekend. So I'm hopeful that there will be immediate change. This is his first job he's taken mid-season since Bari in 2007. But you think back, I know he had more time on his hands as well, but you think back, he was parachuted into the Italy job before the Euros. And sort of overchanged their fortunes immediately, really. So he is the real deal. I do expect Spurs to sort of improve rapidly. But yeah, I quite like them coming into this weekend, because I don't subscribe to the new manager bounce as a standard, but I do think there's got to be a reaction. There's got to be a buy-in to the appointment here from Tottenham. If you look at their season so far under Nuno, I don't want to sort of go too deep on the numbers because they're almost not relevant now, but 5 of their 6 Premier League defeats came against the current top 6. Everton's wins this season have come against Norwich, Burnley, Saints and Brighton. So basically one top half team there. Right. United and West Ham are the toughest tests that they've faced so far. And also those key absentees. If you look at them, they're basically 4 of the most influential 6 players Everton have had since the start of last season in terms of points per game earned when they're on the field and when they're not. And I think if you look at Decore and Mina in particular, they earn 68% and 70% more points per game when those two are on the field and when they're not. So Doucouré this season has been terrific, a real driving force in midfield. And I worry for them. I was quite unimpressed with their display against Wolves on Monday night, and I think they're vulnerable here. So Spurs with a +0 start has been nibbled in quite a lot, actually, from 1.84 to around 175. I think there's still just about something there. If not, by the time this goes out, just take Spurs -1/4, and you're only losing out half your stake if the game does end all square, and that's odds against.
Adrian, I think you're in agreement on this one.
Oh, total agreement. Yeah. For me, the Spurs draw no bet just leapt off the page when it was a better price. A lot of people have clearly lumped on it. I just don't see them losing the game. I really don't. Everton, I gave them half a chance last weekend against Wolves. I thought there was value in the plus half a goal to get the draw and the win on side, but they were awful. It was poor, and Mark's bang on. Doucouré is a big miss, as is Calvert-Lewin. I mean, they don't have that same threat, do they, without him leading the line? So yeah, they're in a mess. You'd think Rafa would batten down the hatches and sort of really concentrate on organisation, but has he got the personnel to contain Kane and Son, who are bound to be lifted by the arrival of Conte? I can imagine, that Spurs performance was a bit slow motion. It was laboured, wasn't it? They'll be on ×2 speed for this game, because that's the kind of thing that Conte demands. He demands sort of high intensity in everything that they do. He can't work miracles. I mean, there's only one team that's had fewer shots in open play than Spurs this season. It's Norwich. So they've been so unimaginative and uncreative. It's laughable, really. But so I don't expect them to suddenly start scoring 4, 5s, and 6s. But they will be more solid, and they will pick up more points. No question about that. So yeah, I mean, Spurs, tempting to back them on the nose. If you don't want to go with the 1.74 on the draw no bet, which I think is a great shout, then the next best would be on the -1/4. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a very solid one. And look, if Conte can't get a tune out of this team, I'm not totally sure if anyone can get a tune out of this current team, because honestly, like, he's been so good every place he's gone to, and I think that some people there's this kind of lazy assumption that he's very similar to Mourinho. He's not. He's not. And anyone who goes into this one, he's not. He's very different. And, just because he plays this kind of, sometimes defensive, but he plays whatever suits, whatever works for the team. And he did that with Inter as well, So, yeah, exciting times ahead in North London. But exciting times in general in North London. It's all good. All good. Arsenal in good form as well, so good to see that. All right, so Tottenham -0.0 is available at 1.75 at Matchbook.com, and that is the selected play. Like we said, you get your money back if it is a draw. It's a solid one. Palace Wolves, interesting game on Saturday in South London. Adrian, start with you first, but let's take a look at the betting as we have it at Matchbook.com. Palace, you can back at 2.56. Wolves at 3.15. The draw available at 3.25, which is 94 in fractional terms. Wolves getting a quarter of a goal start here on the Asian handicap at 1.8, and 2.25 is the total, slightly shaded towards the under. Adrian, that's a low goal line. Two teams that are playing pretty decent football right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think if Nuno was in charge of Wolves and Hodgson was in charge of Crystal Palace, I'm all over that. I think he's got 0-0 or 1-1 at the most written all over it, hasn't it? But things are different. I think Palace are growing in belief with every single game. I think they've been tactically outstanding this season under Patrick Vieira. They were great at Arsenal, won at City, of course, albeit against 10 men, but they still won. It was impressive. I'll let you into a secret. I bumped into Sean Derry, who's one of the assistants at Crystal Palace to Patrick Vieira. He sort of was promoted from the under-23s, and I know him. And I said, but I saw him at Arsenal. I said, you got a good team there. You played ever so well against Arsenal. He was like, yeah. He goes, that's the stand. Like, that's been the level of our performance week in, week out. And I said, what about Vieira? And he goes, he's good. He's good, like that. And I don't think he would just say that. He wasn't. I wasn't interviewing him. He was like, he is decent, mate, like that. So I think that bodes really well for Crystal Palace. If he's impressed, then that's good enough for me. He's a smart tactician, Patrick Vieira. 60% of Palace games have gone over 2.5 goals. They're actually pretty good at the back. They're not giving away that many chances. I think they've got the second best XG against in open play, which is very impressive from Crystal Palace. But a lot of the reason, I think, is because they're on the front foot. They're not having to defend on the edge of their 18-yard box anymore. They're defending from the front. They've got informed players. Conor Gallagher obviously is the standout. Zaha's back. Edouard looks good. Benteke's been in decent form. So I think they will attack the game, in short, and go for goals here. Obviously, they scored twice against Leicester, 3 times against Spurs. So they're capable. But Wolves are really in form, aren't they? And Bruno Lage has made them certainly more attacking. Raul Jimenez looks like his old self, creating chances, having lots of shots, scoring goals again. And they've got 10 points from 5 away games so far, which is absolutely superb, really. Their away form is terrific. So I think, again, because of their away form is good, they will attack the game, and I think that they will look to score goals. So my way in here for this match, I think it could be a draw, could be a goal-scoring draw. My angle in would be both teams to score on the basis of it's a good price because it's odds against, but also they've got forward players that are in good nick at the moment, and I think that sharpness, we'll see sharpness at both ends of the pitch. And I can see both teams registering at least 1 goal here. So that's my way in. I think it's a really interesting game between 2 underrated teams.
Yeah, Mark, I think you're in agreement in this one. Wolves starting to play some decent ball as well now.
Yeah, they are. They've scored in 6 of the last 7. Raul Jimenez is starting to look like something close to resembling his best. Wang's made a really good impact. It's nice to see him flourishing. He's a difficult time at Leipzig. Trincao offers something different. And the fact that they got someone like Adama Traore in reserve, not just him, but Fabio Silva and Podence as well, means they've got options from the bench. Or if Bruno does want to sort of mix things up, he's got that capability. But yeah, I mean, Palace, I was anti-Palace coming into this season. I'm having to eat my words at the moment because most of that negativity stemmed towards Patrick Vieira and his stint with Nice, which was below my expectations. And I didn't think it was a massive inspiring sort of managerial hunt that Palace went on, and I thought it was a bit muddled. But so far, if you look at expected points taken per game based on sort of pre-match market prices, so not expected goals, but just what the market estimates Palace to have done this season, they would be second bottom. That's partly down to their fixture list. If you look at them, they've been away to Chelsea, away to Liverpool, City, West Ham, and Arsenal, and they've had to host Brighton, Spurs, and Leicester. So that's a really tough schedule. They've only lost twice so far this season, and they're actually 10th on expected points if you look at XG outcomes as well. So they do deserve immense credit, and I think the biggest sort of compliment you can pay them is last week at Man City. That was no fluke, really. If you look at the balance of play and the chances created in that game, it wasn't a fluke win at all. At Selhurst Park, they're unbeaten. 4 of those have been draws for sure, but if you look at sort of non-penalty expected goal ratio, they're up there towards the top end of the table. If you look at home performances on their own, they've scored in 7 of the last 8 games. Both teams have scored in 5 of those. And as Adrian says, I think Wolves will also take an attack-minded approach here. They're in great form at the moment since those first 3 defeats where they failed to score. Everyone could see that they were a much better team than those results suggested. So, yeah, I think we've got 2 teams here who will fancy their chances of winning the match. I think both teams to score has occurred in 49% of Premier League games so far this season. I think you mentioned at the start there, it's a very low goal line. It's almost like the market is kind of still retaining a bit of bias towards what happened last season and the 2 coaches. These are 2 completely different teams, completely different ways of attacking games at the moment. So, you just got to take the value. And I think even money on a both teams to score bet between these 2 is great value. So, yeah, it's one of my better bets in the Premier League this weekend.
I'm not going to say it, but I will say it. We've got not a great record with Wolves both teams to score bets. If you remember the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, but they've been clicking the last couple of weeks. So
it finally came in as well. As we should have just backed it every single week, and then we're
without fail.
Now. Yeah,
same for gambling week too, though, Adrian. So yeah,
of course, just £2 each way.
Exactly. Yeah. Palace Wolves 2.02 both teams to score. Yeah, I do like the look. We're not going to remember that stuff. And quick recap of what we have so far, just before we get to the latter stage of the show. City to win and under 4.5 goals. The first selection there today at 2.3. Liverpool to win and over 1.5 at 1.97. Tottenham draw no bet, which will display on site at matchbook.com. Tottenham minus 0.0 at 1.75. And Palace Wolves, we just touched on it there, both teams to score at 2.02. Inside.matchbook.com is the place to check out full recap of all those bets and the coming selections in this show. So do check that out each week, insights.matchbook.com. Mark O'Hare's already got his European piece up there. 6 winners in a row, Mark. Nothing to be sniffed at there, sir. And Adrian Clarke will also have some championship. You have some championship bets this week, Adrian? Or yeah,
for the insights.
Yeah.
Oh, not sure yet. I'm not sure. To be decided. But
I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah.
Well, because we don't have League 1 and League 2 matches, so it might be a case with these 2 tips. I don't want to double up, with writing about these two games that I'm about to mention, but we'll see. But I was pleased to get my first double for a while on Insights last weekend. So that was decent. Yeah.
Take it away. So the Cardiff Huddersfield, the unders here, under 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw the fixture, I thought, well, this has the look of not very many goals, and then you can see it's just about a backable price, under 2.5. Obviously, you can go to under 2.25 if you wanted to squeeze a little bit more juice out of it. But yeah, Cardiff have failed to score in 6 of their last 7 games. Obviously, they've dispensed with Mick McCarthy. Steve Morrison's come in, and they had a very out of character 3-3 draw with Stoke, but it was a great comeback actually. But the game against QPR, Mark will know more about it maybe than me because I was busy in the midweek. But it looked a dour game. They lost 1-0 at home to QPR. Not many chances at either end. And then the Morrison, in the interim period, will focus on just keeping on stabilising. Huddersfield are not a high scoring team. 5 of their last 6 games have gone under 2.5. So for me, when you sort of mesh it all together, Cardiff team sort of in limbo really at the moment. Huddersfield side that they're quite solid, but rarely score more than 1 goal. It has the look of low scoring. So yeah, Cardiff Huddersfield under 2.5 for me.
You're muted, Sully.
Lads, amateur hour. So I was saying, Adrian, Swansea plus a goal versus Bournemouth, 1.71. They're in good form of play.
Yeah, look, as I said earlier on in the show with the West Ham shout, a +1 handicap. And that was one of my winners on the Insights last weekend, Blackpool +1 at Sheffield United. I just think it buys you so much wriggle room if you think it can be a competitive game. And with Swansea at Bournemouth, that's how I see it, because Swansea have won 4 of their last 5. They're one of the form teams in the division. They're getting there. It's sort of clicking for Russell Martin. Got a couple of really informed players in Patterson and Joel Pirot in forward areas. Ethan Laird at wing back, excellent. And they're controlling matches through possession. And that, I think they can do that against Bournemouth and sort of defend by keeping the ball. And I think that's a sort of a good way of keeping decent teams quiet. And Swansea will keep the ball in the game. They've scored in 8 of their last 9 matches as well, Swansea, so they're always worth at least 1. Bournemouth suffered their first defeat last night against Preston at home. Very unusual, but because they're having a cracking season, Bournemouth. But how much is that going to take out of them? And they're going to be slightly dented confidence-wise. You could argue the case that they might be. So for me, I think I see this as a really close game between 2 good teams, and Swansea +1 is backable. It's over. Is it 1.71 at the moment? You could, of course, go +3/4 of a goal to get a better price if that's what you wanted. But Swansea on the handicap at Bournemouth definitely appeals to me.
Yeah, don't mind the angle there. Swansea +1 at 1.71. Mark O'Hare, your sole European pick this week. Sampdoria Bologna over 2.5. Serie A goals, and it's about finding the angle in and back with price, because obviously a lot of these goal lines are moving up there. I was just quoting from your Insights article this morning that nearly 40% of games have produced a minimum of 4 goals. That's something off, Mark. That's a lot of goals. That's a lot of games, 40%.
Yeah, I thought you guys would probably miss me last week not talking about goals in Serie A on the podcast, but don't worry, we're back in business. It's brilliant at the moment. If you like your entertainment, Serie A is the place to be, not just for goals, but for cars and incidents and just chaos, really. It's great fun. Through 110 games, they're averaging 3.07 goals, which is almost bang in line with the last 2 seasons as well. And as you say, 40% of games going over 3.5, 65% going over 2.5. So immediately you try and find inefficiencies in the market where the lines are probably a little bit lower than where your expectations are at. And I think Sampdoria against Bologna fits the bill. Overs have landed in the last 9 for Samp and 6 of Bologna's last 8. If you look at them combined, they've gone over 3.5 goals in exactly half of their 22 games together. Samp's games are averaging 3.36 goals. Bologna's 3.55. Bologna have only failed to score against Napoli and Atalanta. Samp have always been scoring pretty freely at the Marassi. Only Milan and Napoli have stopped them scoring so far this season. Go back to the beginning of last year, and they've scored in 20 of the last 25 at home as well. And Bologna away from home just tend to concede goals anyhow. They've only kept 3 clean sheets in 24 since the start of last season. Now, the pressure is on Samp. They've had a bit of a middling season, a bit of a poor recent run. Pressure is definitely on De Verza, the head coach, but he does tend to prefer a front foot approach, and he's got the ability in forward areas to cause Bologna problems. They can call on either Caputo or Quagliarella in the sort of a leading attacking role, possibly both. Candreva's obviously making the impact. Gabbiadini as well. Damsgaard could be back fit and available. But Bologna under Mihajlovic only know one way to play, and that's front foot as well. They beat Cagliari 2-0 on Monday night. Could have been 3, could have been 4. They're very, very impressive going forward. Mihajlovic was talking about Arnautovic after the game and saying there's only more to come from him. He can get better and better, and they expect him to get better and better. But they play a quite an exciting style 3-4-2-1 with Barrow and Soriano behind Arnautovic. So, they'll fancy their chances of going to Genoa and getting a good result here. So, I'm expecting goals and over 2.5 goals. Nearly 175, I think, is always almost a no-brainer bet in Serie A at the moment.
Yeah, like it. And full write-up and more detail on that is available at insights.matchbook.com. Adrian, your best bet for this weekend, mate?
I'm going to go
all
for
about Conte. All about Conte.
Yeah, look, I just can't see this Everton team, who are in trouble at the moment, personnel-wise. All their best, a lot of their best players. excuse me, a lot of their best players are injured. Confidence is low. It's unravelling for sure. Up against the Spurs side, sort of pepped up by the arrival of Conte. I think that, and Spurs have a good record, I think, at Goodison Park, often score a lot of goals. So, yeah, for me, draw no bet, Spurs at Goodison.
Mark O'Hare, Chelsea take on Burnley this weekend, and ordinarily we look at Chelsea and under 3.5. But another way in with this team, as you're going to explain now, is Chelsea to win with a clean sheet. Chelsea and BTTS no is currently available at 1.97.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by Chelsea recently since those back-to-back defeats to Man City and Juventus. They've kind of refound themselves and just churning out wins, uncompromising wins as well. I think it's 6 on the spin now across the Premier League and the Champions League, only conceding a penalty in that sequence as well. If you look at them, they've played 47 games now under Thomas Tuchel. They've won 30. 26 of those have come alongside a clean sheet. They've kept 29 clean sheets and 47 across all competitions, 16 from 25 at Stamford Bridge. The last 2 games against Burnley and Newcastle, they've given up Newcastle and Norwich, they've given up just 3 shots in the box, which is outrageous. But Burnley have been better than their results have suggested, and that they'll feel that they were due that big win against Brentford last week. But they have been nilled by Liverpool, City and Arsenal already this season. They're the only 3 top 6 teams they've played so far. If you look across all the attacking metrics, Burnley rank inside the bottom 6. I just think Chelsea without Lukaku and without Werner, there's more of an emphasis on being tight and controlled and capable of sort of grinding these games out. And I just think the leap from Chelsea to win the match around 1.3 to almost evens by adding in the clean sheet is too big. I make this more around 175, let alone even money. So it's banked in 7 of their 8 Premier League wins this season. The only time it didn't, they conceded the penalty. And just I found this quite amazing, really. I can't believe I hadn't noticed this previously. But so far this season, Chelsea have conceded 3 Premier League goals. 2 of those are penalties. Man City are the only team to score a non-penalty goal against Chelsea in the Premier League this season. That's 15 hours of football of conceding just 1 goal, but wasn't a penalty. It's mad. I mean, to get almost even money on that, I think is a fantastic bet.
Yeah, seems like a knock-in bet, really. There's plenty of it there. All right, Mark, good to have you back, bud. And we're into international break now, so you get an extra bit of a break. It's good, like that, yeah. Well timed by Molly there. Adrian, thanks as ever, bud. Obviously, Tottenham your best bet this week. So nothing controversial about that at all, like that.
No one can accuse me of being,
no,
biased.
never, mate. Never. Absolutely never. Always head over heart like that. Guys, thanks. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget, if you're liking our content, if you're watching us now on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm, gets our content out to more of a bigger audience. And if you're listening to us in your preferred podcast app, please do leave us a preferential review. Every little helps. Until 2 weeks' time, goodbye for now.